stinking computer. YouTube's wanting to be a butt. Apparently, you can't just stream straight from YouTube. You have to have a streaming service separately. And apparently, there was a issue between those two, between the streaming service and YouTube. The stream with my computer was not wanting to upload it to YouTube for whatever reason, but I think we're up and okay now. If we are, let me know. Go ahead and say something on there. Let me know you're here with us. Let me let's see if I can't get the share this thing on here. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Log in with Google. Well, we've lost about an hour here. Yay. All right. But that's the nature of the beast. So today we're looking all at cities. What does it mean to have a city? How can we actually make cities go in the future? Kind of like the very big stuff. So today you're going to have the introduction to cities. You're also going to have, let me share this out. Paste. New stream. Old one is dead. Send. All right, so I'll go ahead and send the new stream out to everyone else. The Nearpod should be the exact same. Nothing on that has changed. So you should all have access to Nearpod. Holy crap, I need a fan up here. Starting to sweat like a... Log in. Sweating like a chicken that just saw a fox. Anyway, log in with Google. Computers suck. All right, so live lesson. Resume. And link, copy. All right, so let me go ahead and share that link again for the Nearpod. Because there's going to be a little bit that we're going over today, looking at cities, and towards the end, hopefully should be about an hour or so, towards the end, we're actually going to be doing a bit of a simulation. Originally, this called for you guys to actually be working in groups. And I was going to have you drawing the city out on graphing paper and all that good stuff. But unfortunately, here we are where we are. So you guys are going to be doing it online instead. Not as fun as I would have hoped, but hey, it's there at least. All right, so we've already talked about the Neil Gaiman quote about the piece called Ruminate by Neil Gaiman. About cities are not people, but like people, they have their own personalities. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pass that one. And today, we're going to be looking at what does it mean to be the downtown area of a city. So real quick, I want you to think about this one. Describe the downtown area of a city. I think Baton Rouge gives us one of the kind of the best examples of it. But what are some of the things you would expect to find in a downtown area? For those of you wondering, the city you're seeing on your screen now is actually Tokyo, Japan. As you can see, Tokyo during rush hour. I kind of like the way they've got this set up. They actually have their highway system actually kind of down at ground level, and then they've got a number of bridges connecting both sides of the city together. I think that works a little bit better than Louisiana does. As you know, with our interstate, there's bridges. And I can't help but wonder if all those bridges on our interstate cause all the wrecks that we're having almost every single day. So what are some things that we would expect to find in a city? Go ahead and type it in here with YouTube. For example, I'd be expecting to find how about you? What would you think? Restaurants. What else? Oh, good Lord. It's gotten worse. All right. Now let's go forward. So I've got Haley online. I've got Henna online. I've got Mizell online. Hey there. So here's our objective. Objective 1, we're going to understand and explain things found in a city's CBD, the Central Business District. And number 2, we're going to explain, this is actually going to be your exit ticket for the day, explain how the decline of a city's CBD is going to affect the rest of that city. What do you think would happen if tomorrow, or rather now, since we're given our circumstances, think of all the restaurants in downtown Baton Rouge. There's Schlitz and Giggles, there's Struby's Chop House, there's Raising Cane's, there's, I want to say Acme Oyster House. I know it's an oyster place downtown. But given what we're seeing right now, with all those businesses having to be shut down or limiting their business hours, how could that decline affect the rest of Baton Rouge? What do you think? Well, let's go forward. Also called pushers, are employed in Tokyo's railway stations, and they will literally push people onto crowded trains during rush hour. So you see this guy, there's obviously no more room. Watch what these dudes do. More people getting pushed onto a train. Now, there's a reason I'm showing you this, and that's because of all the cities in the world, Japan has the largest population. In the United States, our biggest population city is New York City, and there's maybe about 8.6 million people in New York City. That's pretty crowded. However, Tokyo, Japan is pushing up to 36 million people in one city. Tokyo has literally over 4 times the number of people that New York City does. And naturally, as you can see here, there are some issues when it comes to overcrowding, especially on their subway trains. Now, here's how we measure urbanization. There's 2 ways to do it. For less developed countries, we're going to measure it by the increase of the number of people living in a city. So that's going to really be it. It's kind of the basic, how many people are living in your city now versus how many people are living in your city a year from now. That's all it looks at. However, in more developed countries like the United States, like most of Europe, Japan, definitely, they measure urbanization by the increase of the country's percentage that lives in a city. So they're not just looking at the city by itself. They're looking at the city. They're also looking at suburbs and rural areas and trying to come out with the answer of how many people are moving from rural to suburbs to city. or in some cases from city to suburbs, because cities get overcrowded. And some people want to get out of those cities. And that's where we have the rise of the suburbs. So here's your fill in the blank. Some key differences between urban and rural settlements. Go ahead and try this out for a second. See if you can't choose which ones are urban and which ones are rural. Blank settlements have a higher concentration of people, whereas blank settlements are more isolated and the people there have fewer social relationships. What do you think? So urban settlements are going to have a higher concentration of people. Rural settlements are going to be more isolated, and there's going to be fewer social relationships. Urban settlements also have a higher density of specialized services, restaurants, entertainment venues, just these types of services that you're not going to find in rural areas, hospitals, police stations. Rural settlements have fewer cultural differences and are generally more homogenized. Urban settlements are typically seen to have more diversity of people. So urban, rural, urban, essentially. All right, so let's see if you can identify an urban settlement and a rural settlement. So you've got 10 areas from across the United States. Go ahead and give this one a try. It's on your screen right now. I'm seeing 3 people in. Hi, Mizell. Hi, Hannah. And hi, Haley. So go ahead and look at these pairs. What do you think? Go ahead and give it a try. See, I've got no one trying. It's a shame. All right, let's go forward. So we have a couple of different urban categories. We have towns, very basic urban category. Towns will usually have that central business district where everything's taking place. However, those CBDs are very small and not very complex. Something like this would be to the effect of, say, Denham Springs. There is a central business district. You'll have that area of Denham Springs where there's where you'll have Range Avenue, where there's all your major businesses, Walmart, dentist office, banks. Then you also have one part of it where you have the antique district, all the antique stores. And then just north of that would be the schools, the Denham Springs Freshman High and Denham Springs High School. So it's small, not very complex. However, a city is your next step up. The city is also going to have a central business district. However, it's going to have a much more complex economy and a larger population. Tell you the truth, Denham Springs probably they consider themselves more of a city. However, if you actually look at what's going on with their central business area, it's typically, I'd put it more in the town category. Next up, we have suburbs. And suburbs exist outside of those cities. They're going to be largely residential, and typically their population living in the suburbs is usually going to be all the same, roughly the same. Not necessarily by ethnicity, but you're going to have people of the same income level, same social class, usually upper middle class in some areas, solid middle class in others. It needs to be places where you see like subdivisions popping up. It's outside of the city. People usually commute to work in the city, but suburbs are typically going to be residential. And in metropolitan areas, it's a large urban area that would include towns, cities, and suburbs. So, of all four of those, what do you think East Baton Rouge Parish is? I've got it on the map here in blue. What do you think? Take your best guess. And if you said metropolitan area, you're correct. East Baton Rouge Parish is considered to be a metropolitan area. It's large. It's got an urban area, which is downtown Baton Rouge, the main part of the city itself. But then you also have other cities and small towns there, as well as suburbs. Places like Baker, Zachary are going to be your smaller towns, smaller cities. You're also going to have places like Goodwood and Broadmoor. All these would be considered suburbs because they're outside of the main city itself. So the next one is called the megacity. Now, a megacity is going to be any city with a population of over 10 million people. There are no megacities in the United States. In fact, once again, our biggest city is New York City, and their population is round about 8.6 million. However, the top three cities in the world, Tokyo, Japan is number one, 38 million. I think I said 36 earlier. It's 38. I had a brain fart there. Delhi, India is second with 26 million. And Shanghai, China is our third with 23 million. So Japan has got a major lead on the competition when it comes to city population. Next up. So some megacities have major problems. For one, they can't control their expansion. Population skyrockets. And when this happens, you're going to see two things popping up. One, a rise in overpopulated tenement housing. In other words, these overpopulated apartments where everyone's crowding in just to get a little bit of shelter. And you're also going to see a rise of slum areas that are unable to provide basic necessities like clean drinking water, sanitation. There's a lot of open sewers, people throwing human waste out of windows. That's what these slums are known for. If you've ever heard of slums in the United States, they're kind of diet slums, essentially, compared to some of the things going on in these mega cities. Slums do exist almost everywhere, but in the United States, the slum issue is not nearly as bad as it is with these places with a population of 10 million and climbing. All right, let's see. Next up, the megalopolis. If you have a city where several different metropolitan areas merge together, that's your megalopolis. I think of all these places in the world, the one that kind of stands out to me is Chicago. You have central Chicago, which is not very big, but outside of the central city limits, you have places like Pullman, Oak Park, Cicero, Naperville. These are all considered to be part of Chicago. Essentially, what happened was modern Chicago, as we know it, was actually built by all these smaller groups, smaller areas, kind of merging together into one megalopolis. Some people would also say that East Chicago is also one part of Chicago. And the funny thing is, East Chicago is not part of the state of Illinois. You know, Chicago is in Illinois. East Chicago is actually in Indiana. Right when you cross the border from Illinois into Indiana, there's East Chicago. But everything in those areas is urban. And a lot of people consider East Chicago to be part of Chicago, part of this megalopolis. We also have our next one, number 7, which are going to be the world cities or global cities. International urban centers. They control global systems of commerce and finance. Think for a couple minutes about what a world city or a global city would look like. Same thing either way, world or global, no matter what you use. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bada bing. New York City, global city. It's a world city. You have multiple ethnicities. You have a major population. New York is also a major center for commerce and trade. If you've been watching the news, you may have heard something about the New York Stock Exchange because there's been a bit of a rough go for the past couple of weeks. This is where the stock market is. Wall Street is here. All that goes into forming a global city. Another one I like, it's not on the screen, of course, but is Orlando, Florida. Orlando is one of the biggest airports in the United States because of this. And largely their economy and their entire economy and their trade is all in tourism. You've got places like Disney, Universal, SeaWorld. You've got the Orlando Convention Center, where every year they do a couple of different major conventions. I think there's an Orlando Comic Con out there, as well as things like the IAAPA, the International Association of Amusements, Parks, and Attractions. Will actually have their annual show there, where they show off different they actually will build roller coasters inside the Civic Center. It's quite a thing to see. So I will consider Orlando to be an international city, or a global city. Beyond that, New York, Orlando, Atlanta. Definitely Atlanta, because Atlanta is the biggest airport in the United States. I had the misfortune of traveling through the Atlanta airport last summer. And I had to make it from Terminal E to Terminal B within 15 minutes, which is hard to do. I practically had to run from one side to the other, including running on their moving conveyor belts. So Atlanta, I would consider them to be a global city. Los Angeles, another one. When it comes to cities around here in Louisiana, like New Orleans or Baton Rouge or even Houston, Texas, I would not consider them to be global, because even though they are homes to a lot of major manufacturing and industry, they don't exactly hit that same reach that places like Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, and Orlando do. So you do have that big difference, distinction there. Tell you the truth, I typically will rate a city based on the size of its airport. So New Orleans with the new terminal at Armstrong International is definitely looking up there. But the biggest one I've been to have been Atlanta and Orlando. But I digress. Next up, number 14. So coming up with examples for each type of city. So we've seen a couple of different ones: megalopolis, towns, cities, global cities. Let's apply this for the rest of the board. Yes. Okay. So make sure you're coming up with some examples for each type of city, what it means, what it stands for. Be sure you know what these are, because you will see this maybe not on the AP test, but God willing, if we're able to meet again, my final exam. All right, let's go forward. So this little bit is a musical interlude video. I want you to watch this video and compare to the lyrics of the song to the visuals presented on the screen. What is this musical saying about life in a downtown area? So I'll take a minute or so.
Yeah, but we on a split shit, right? We went to school till 5th grade, then we split. So, how do you take the better yourself? Better ourselves. You heard what he said? Better ourselves. Mister, when you from Skin Row, ain't no such thing.
I'm going to go ahead and stop it there since I don't see anyone logged in right now. But this will be on your Nearpod. All right, so here's the big thing of what we're dealing with. CBDs, the Central Business District. The CBD is typically a compacted area with a high percentages of services for people living in the city. Oftentimes, the CBD is going to be in the oldest part of the city. Typically, it's going to be a major hub for public transportation. So I think my best example for a CBD that you see on an almost daily basis, or maybe you hear about it on a daily basis, is downtown Baton Rouge. Places around I say Centroplex, but the Baton Rouge River Center, or the USS Kidd, 13th Gate, all those shops and restaurants and hotels in there. That's what I would consider to be Baton Rouge's Central Business District. It's one of the oldest parts of town. It's kind of small and compact, and there's a high number of services for the people living in and around the city there. Typically, the CBD will also be the major hub for public transportation. In fact, if you've been following anything out of Baton Rouge over the past couple of years, there's been talk about getting a high-speed rail train or commuter train, essentially a trolley, that would go from LSU's campus to downtown Baton Rouge. So let's say if you've got LSU tickets and you don't want to fight the traffic down at LSU, you could go to Baton Rouge, park at the River Center parking garage, and then go take the trolley from downtown to the LSU campus, where you can actually go and watch the game. So this is something that's been kind of talked about, bandied about for a while now. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but there have been different pieces of concept art you can actually go to Google and look up, showing what this train would look like. Tell you the truth, if it does come to pass, I hope they would also put a line down Government Street or down Florida Boulevard, because Lord knows there are so many places on Florida Boulevard that could easily be turned into really nice entertainment areas. If you've ever driven between, say, Broadmoor and downtown Baton Rouge on Florida Boulevard, there's a lot of places that are abandoned, closed down completely. There's a couple of office buildings I know of that are closed down. Of course, you've got Cortana Mall. I don't know what they're park, and then have a trolley going from Cortana Mall, or the site for Cortana Mall, whatever the amusement park is, all the way to downtown. College students, if you're studying at LSU, you can take the trolley from LSU to downtown and into the amusement park. So one of my little pipe dreams there, I don't know if it'll ever come true, but hey, it'd be nice to think about. So there are typically two things you won't find in a CBD, and that's going to be industry and residential areas. Industry is not found in a CBD because manufacturing needs a lot more space than a CBD can traditionally provide. So factories also create a lot of pollution, and city planners do not city planners want to keep that far away from the CBD and their essential services. Residential areas are typically not found in CBDs because the CBD land is generally much more expensive. Most people in these cities choose to move to suburbs because of the price. The land is cheaper, housing is cheaper. However, the millennial generation, my generation, has actually started moving back to the cities. A couple of reasons they do this, they're able to justify it, is one, if they can find a nice apartment in the city, they can actually go into it together. You can have maybe 5 or 6 people renting one apartment and splitting the rent. Two, if you work in the city, you don't really need a car. This actually happens a lot with New York. Most people who live in New York do not have a car. There's enough transportation between the L trains, the subway, as well as taxis, Uber, and Lyft drivers, that they're able to get around from place to place or just walk. So having a car is not exactly necessary. In Mr. Miller's case, I have a car because I live about 20 minutes away from Broadmoor High School. So I get in my car every morning, drive to Broadmoor, do my teaching, do my planning, all that good stuff, and then drive back home 20 minutes at the end of the day. So if you're living in the suburbs, a car becomes necessary, which means car payments, which means gasoline. For people living in the city and living in one of these areas, then it's not exactly a major deal for them. So they're able to stay in the city a little bit more. And the trend has been for millennial people born between 1980 and 1995. I was born in 84, so it puts me right in there. Are typically staying in the cities, and they're moving back in there and away from the suburbs. Myself, I think cities are fun to visit. I enjoy them. However, I do prefer a little bit of isolation. So I like having land. I like having animals. I like having space to breathe, to move. That's just me. Next. Looks like Mizell is back in. Welcome back, Mizell. Land competition. As we've mentioned, because of the draw that these CBD services are offering and the limited space there found in there, CBDs are extremely expensive. So if you were going to go to a CBD, there's one thing you have to try to do, either go up or go down. In the case of going down, you've got underground areas, subway transportation, basement shops, basement restaurants, basement public services, all beneath the city itself. One of the best Mexican restaurants I've ever been to is actually in downtown in the CBD of Santa Fe, New Mexico. And to get there, you actually have to go into the basement of this office building. And essentially what they did was they turned this entire basement into a restaurant. and it's really awesome. I enjoy it. Can't think of the name of it, but I think about the place every now and then. And I kind of want to go back to Santa Fe just to return to this place because it's right there. You actually go in off the street. There's a stairway that takes you straight down, or if you're in a wheelchair, there's have an elevator next to it. Or you can go up into the clouds, skyscrapers. Typically on the base level of a skyscraper, you're going to have retail space. These are going to be places like shopping centers, stores, grocery stores. Towards the middle of your area, in these cases, these buildings right here, kind of that middle 1/3 of it, is typically going to be office space in the middle. And up at the top, you've got the apartments. And those apartments are usually made for people who have a lot of money. You've ever heard of a penthouse apartment? That's what it is. It's up at the very top of these skyscrapers. All right. So what are some ways you would describe Baton Rouge's CBD? Go ahead and type your thoughts in here now. Baton Rouge's Central Business District, that middle area inside the city. All right, with Google. I'm going to go ahead and see who's doing what so I won't turn anything off in the middle of something. So it's kind of buys a little and has a lot of restaurants. Yeah, that is true. There are a lot of restaurants in downtown Baton Rouge. Let's go to get rid of this. All right. Classrooms. All right. All right. Classrooms. Let's go forth. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. So, what are some problems that Baton Rouge's CBD could be facing, especially now in the middle of this coronavirus insanity? What are some problems that Baton Rouge would face? Go ahead and share your answers out. Let's pull Aricia in. Hi, Aricia. I see you there. Let's see who else I need to get. All right, lots of jobs and businesses and a lot of economic growth. Yeah, especially nowadays. We've been seeing that a lot with this coronavirus. People are being forced to stay away from places. Uh, they're also having issues when it comes to restaurants, having to pick up stuff and not actually interact with the restaurant waiters, wait staff. So there is a major problem there. Let's see who else. Thank you for joining us, Aricia. I see you on there. All right, let's go to classrooms. Let's fill up my 7th hour. And it's going to do none. Start session. Let's see who else I need to pull in here. Corey Lawrence is not active. Denise LeBlanc. I'm going to send her a nice little reminder. Open tab. And I'm going to send let's go to chat on. Chat with students. Good job staying on task. Yay. I see you there, Mizell. You're in. Chat with students. Let's say good job to Ms. Perez. And I'll open a tab for her. And last one, let's go to 8th block. And let's see who's doing this. No, start session. Hi there, Anaya. I see you on. Who am I going to get? All right, well, not seeing anyone on there for that one. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. Wrong type of CBD. Mountain Pure CBD. LOL. Nope. All right, so here we go. So here's our next one. It's called the City Developer Simulation. It should supposed to say the growth of cities or CBDs. In this case, it doesn't, but here's what we're going to be doing. I want you to put yourself in the mindset that you are in the 1800s. And there are immigrants coming into the United States from all sorts of places. Italy, Eastern Europe, Asia, China, Japan. All these immigrants are coming into the city, and you guys are going to be working on a plan as to what to do. So if you go to Google Classroom, and under Google Classroom, you're going to be seeing where it says classwork or assignments. And on there, it says, let me pull it up on here. Under classwork, it says City Developer Activity Sheet. You guys are going to be filling this one out. So I posted it earlier today at 12:23, so 3 hours ago. But it's on there now. So go ahead and get those pulled up. I'm going to talk you guys through this. So our background information, it's the late 1800s. Immigrants are coming all over to America to start a new life. We've got industrial growth. We've got a new wave of immigration. Our population of these cities, places like New York, San Francisco, swells. And those cities had to change very quickly to accommodate so many new people. It offers urban residents new kinds of work, excitement, and entertainment. So here we go. So your job, now originally this, like I said, this was supposed to be a group effort, and you're going to be drawing out your cities on these large pieces of paper like we did with the other issues and presentations. However, in this case, we can't really do that. So you're going to be doing it on Google Draw or Nearpod Draw it. So you've been hired by the city government to design what the city's new downtown area will look like. You only have 8 blocks of the city to design. And you were going to originally work together, but you're going to be doing this independently now, to decide what features of the city you must include and where those features should be placed. So your goal here is to design a downtown central business district in a way that you're going to make your city's population grow as big as possible. And this is where things come in, because as you move these pieces around and draw it and redraw it, you're going to be trying to find a way that you can actually have the bigger population. There are 8 things on here. You can only choose, I think, 6 of them. I'll go over those with you in a second. And of those 6, you have to draw them and place them in such a way that you're going to grow your population of your city. So city features, you're going to choose 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 6 of these 11 features you would want to benefit the population growth of your city. You can only choose 6. However, I will let you put more than one on there. Here's what they look like. When you start drawing this is what you're going to be needing to draw on there with the Draw It feature. The reason I instructed you to go check out Google Classroom for that classwork for the thing is that you'll see a copy of this on there. So when I switch over to the new slide where you're drawing, you'll still have all these different areas, all these different symbols and such, because those are on there as well. All right, so make the features big. Make it take up most, if not all, of each block on here. So we've got public parks, retail centers, wood buildings, which is 6 buildings, elevators, schools, skyscrapers, public trolley system or your public transportation, farmland, newspapers, factories, and of course, parking lots. So you've got all that on there. And here's your example of what you're going to be doing. You're going to start off with 20,000 residents. As we go through the simulation, try to keep a running tally of how many residents you're gaining or losing. You're going to see this at the end. So your starting population is 20,000. I want you to kind of put things together in such a way that you can actually get this done. And we'll go over and see where you scored at towards the end. Now, this is a time I'd usually be pulling out like a box of like donuts or something and saying, hey, you know what? The winner, whoever's able to grow their city the most, is going to have get a treat, those individually wrapped donuts. But we can't do that here, so I'm going to find some way to try to reward you guys for being on task with this. So in this case, your starting population is 20,000. Let's say you add some things and you grow 35,000 more. So it goes from 20,000 to 55,000. You grow 10 more, 65,000, and then you lose 15,000, 50,000. So you're going to be doing this tally up at the very end once we go through each of these things. So right now with your sheet, I want you to start. Is this the Draw It? No, that's not Draw It. Here we go. Draw It. I want you guys to draw on this downtown area where these things should be. Remember, your rules are you can only use 6 of them. Only 6 of those areas. I'm going to give you guys 15 minutes to do this one. Let me go ahead and turn on some music here. All right, here you go. You have 15 minutes. Starting now. Hey guys, I'll be back in 10 minutes.
We gotta find